welcome back to the Google Cloud live stream. If you're just joining us now, my name is Natalie Puco and I'm a Google Cloud customer engineer, and you have just listened to the plenary and the keynote. So thank you for joining us for that. So now we're going to take you through the actual exhibition area here in CarriageWorks, and we've got lots of showcases lined up for you, and they'll be presented by some of our customer engineers also on my team. So let's start off with our first showcase with James Liu, and that's in infrastructure. So let's go for a walk. So James is all ready for us in the infrastructure session. As you can see, everyone's just finished the keynote, so got a stream of people coming out. Hi, James.
Hi, Natalie. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm wonderful.
Your first up of the day in the showcase.
Exciting.
Very exciting. Infrastructure. Tell us a little bit about the booth here.
Okay, so what we have here is a booth that uses music as a metaphor for container orchestration, basically. So how we would manage containers at scale, and especially in a hybrid environment. So how would you deal with a workload that needs to run in on-prem and at the cloud at the same time? So maybe I'll just walk you through that.
Absolutely. Show us a demo.
So what we have here is a cluster for Kubernetes and Istio that's running across cloud and on-prem. So a real hybrid environment. And the metaphor goes like this. So let's say you are a music conductor and you want your music to be played in cloud or in on-prem. By combining Istio and Kubernetes, we can dynamically move that music as we need it. So in this case, maybe I want the bassoon to be played in the on-prem environment. So I can drag the bassoon down to the on-prem environment and raise the volume, and what we'll see when we look at the larger screen is that the bassoon is no longer playing in the cloud, it's now playing in the on-prem environment. So it shows a true hybrid deployment of Kubernetes. And it means that when you're building applications that need to consume a hybrid environment, that need to talk or work in a hybrid mode, you don't have to think about how the hybrid works. Kubernetes and Istio does all that for you.
Awesome. So I guess in a nutshell, Istio really acts as the service mesh between all the different containers.
Yeah, so as you move towards microservices, Istio gives you a consistent service mesh across your cloud and your on-prem environments so that you can just orchestrate your workloads and move them as needed, giving you true open hybrid cloud.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for the very first showcase. That went really well, and we look forward to chatting to you later in the day.
Thank you very much, Natalie.
Awesome. So now we're going to move across to our data showcase. So over there we'll be seeing Malcolm. So Malcolm is also on the cloud customer engineering team with myself and James, and he is in the data and analytics showcase. So as you can see, lots of buzz here as people start coming out of the keynote. You would have seen Colin Tim, who's our head of Australia and New Zealand. You would have heard from Jen and Paul, who are from Octo, our Office of the CTO. And now, if you're just joining us, we are taking you through our showcase area. So let's make our way over to see Mal. Here he is, Malcolm. Just the man I was looking for.
Hi Nat, how are you going?
I'm good, how are you?
It's been hectic this morning. There's lots of people stopping by the booth.
Oh, you must have done so many demos. You even got a little croaky.
I've already got a little horse. Just call me Pony.
Okay. Maybe I won't. All right, Mal, tell us about creating intelligence from data.
All right, so we're at the Create Intelligence from Data showcase. Where a lot of people have been talking about big data for a number of years, but if that data just sits on a storage device or a database, then it's really not providing any insight or actionable insight that people can do something with, right? So pipelines are all about extracting information from the storage unit or wherever it's being generated, getting into a format where your data scientists, your analytics team can actually do something with it.
Yeah.
So when you think about it, that's what Google's been doing for the last 20 years, taking big data problems like search and YouTube and photos and solving them for everyone. And those products and services that we created to do that, we've exposed through Google Cloud Platform.
Yeah.
So things like BigQuery and Dataflow and PubSub.
Yeah, I think that's a really key point, and a lot of our viewers might not know that a lot of what you see today is actually exactly the same products that we use to run Google.com.
Right, exactly right. So
you've got a demo here.
We do have a bit of a demo here. We've got a sample pipeline. So if you look at the architecture here, we've built it out. There's an application that we've created primarily just to generate data. So that's been built out using Firebase, which is Google's web and mobile development platform. and it's a trivia game. So you get asked a question, you give an answer, and what happens in the background is that answer you provide goes into a Google Cloud topic for a Google Cloud Pub Sub, and then we have a pipeline that triggers off that. So we're streaming data into our analytics warehouse from that Pub Sub topic. We've got a subscription that will pull it in. It'll go into Google Cloud Data Flow, which is our ETL, extract, transform, load tool, which will do transformations, windowing, etc., and then ultimately sync that data into our warehouse.
Okay,
do you want me to give it a shot?
Yeah.
So if we look across here, I'm already logged on here as a user, so you can see there's a question I'm asked. So that you might be able to help me with this one. In 2001, the first edition of Apple's Mac OS X operating system, version 10, was given an animal code name. Do you know what that is, Nat?
I don't know what that is. So is it leopard?
No, let's go with cheetah, because I think that might be correct. So if I go cheetah, and let's hope that's the correct answer. Let's see. Okay, so that's gone through our pipeline, or it's going through our pipeline, and the end result of our pipeline is a visualization tool. So this is my user here at the bottom. Currently I'm doing 51. If I've got that question right, we should see an increment shortly. So 52, yay. We're using Looker in this example, which is a partner of Google, just to provide the visualization tool. But you could use something like Google Cloud Data Studio, or Tableau, or Click, or whatever you needed to use there.
All right, awesome. I think this is a great example to use a game to actually show the data analytics pipeline, because obviously there's lots of moving pieces to this, but I think you kind of summarised what those things were, and that's data flow, pub sub, a storage solution, and then being able to visualise that in Looker.
I think the key thing is when you're building out a pipeline is to decouple as much as you can, to break it down into elements that make sense, and everything becomes a little bit more easier.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Mel.
Thanks, Nat.
You look great in that Google Cloud t-shirt. Really
Google Cloud suits me. Have a great day.
All right. So,
see you, Nat.
Bye. All right, so let's make our way to the next session, or showcase rather, and that is in security. So again, we've got lots of buzz happening around here. And as you would have probably or hopefully just watched, we've just come out of the keynote, which is just finished. So now I'm going to be your host on the live stream, and I'm going to be taking you around some of the showcase areas where we've got some customer engineers, just like me, who's going to be talking to you about some of the great tools and products that Google has on display. All right, let's go through to our security zone. So we're going to meet Marcus, and Marcus is going to talk to us about Beyond Corp. Marcus,
morning, Nat.
how are you?
I'm very
Good
well.
to see you.
Well.
All right, this is actually one of my favourite demos, so I'm really looking forward to you taking us through it.
Great. So a couple of things that we're doing today, just in general in the security bunker. We're talking about Beyond Corp is the first point, and for those that aren't familiar with Beyond Corp, it's a concept that we at Google came up with when our staff needed to access different levels of applications irrespective of where they are. So when you think about the concept of zero trust networks, we need to be able to access our data and our devices from wherever we are at any given time. So what Google's done is taken their learnings over many, many years and turned them into a couple of products that can be consumed within Google Cloud. So what we'll do is go ahead and run through the demo. So the demo is going to illustrate a day in the life of a sales rep or a customer or whoever it might be using both a managed device, so a laptop they've been given by their company, as well as a iPad they've brought into work that they want to be able to use irrespective of where they are.
Okay, awesome.
So we'll go ahead and get it started.
I'll show us how it's done.
Okay, so we'll just move over to here.
Okay. Starting the demo, so we've got some Chromebooks.
So what we're seeing here is the location that we're currently in is the office
Yes, I can
for this
see
particular
that.
user.
We're in the office.
Okay, so what we have on the left-hand side is the iPad, and on the right-hand side we have a managed device that's been given to the user by the company. So what we'll see here is we're currently in the office, and you can see we have two different tabs open that are giving access to two applications. So the first application is a CRM, and the second application is a HR system.
Okay.
So we can see here that we've got access to all of the different applications on both devices. But then let's say that we want to continue getting access to the environments or to these particular applications when we're on the move. So our user then picks up their devices and they take them down and they move to the coffee shop.
All right.
So our user has now moved to the coffee shop. They've got both their laptop and their iPad, and they want to be able to access these systems irrespective of where they are. And without having to do anything like log on again or use a VPN token or any other constructs or authentication mechanisms, the system securely understands what it is and where we actually are. If I go ahead and I try to access one of the applications, let's say it's the CRM, you can see here without having to do anything additional, you actually have been denied access to that without having to make any changes to the system.
Yes.
So this is done by classifying your applications and the device types that are being used within your environment.
Yes.
So what it does is it removes the overheads from the users so they can access their apps wherever they are, but not have any additional encumbrance when they're trying to do things.
Got it.
So if we then go ahead and move through to the next environment, we can see here that the HR system still works, and on the managed device, we're in the coffee shop, so everything still works. Okay. So the same user is then going on leave. They're taking their corporate laptop and their iPad, and they're going to what we're classifying as an embargoed country, where the corporation has decided they don't want them to have access to anything irrespective of which device they're currently on. So if we go ahead and move down, we've now jumped on a plane.
Awesome.
And we're now trying to access the system when we're in a hotel in an embargoed country. What we'll see is that this application still has no access. On the unmanaged device, we can see here that we've actually lost access to this application as well because it's on unmanaged, and we've classified those applications in such a way. When we're on the managed device, we still want to give them a level of access to a particular application, which is the HR system, but the CRM no longer works. Okay? So if I then check the HR system, that one still works. So really what we're demonstrating is the ability to classify your applications, assign a trust level to them, and differentiate between both location and device type so that the users don't have to worrying about VPNs or tokens or any of those sorts of things. So it gives them freedom to consume their applications irrespective of where they are.
Great. And I think this is not an uncommon story that we're seeing in the enterprise, especially as customer engineers. You know, we're seeing people work from home more and more. We're seeing people, BYO bring their own mobile or Chromebook devices or whatever it may be. And I guess being able to actually apply the identity-aware proxy, so on.
Absolutely. So the technology is using Google's Cloud Identity Service. We're using the identity-aware proxy, and we're using something called Context Access Manager as well to define the applications and the levels of which you want to be able to get access to. So it enables the workforce to be incredibly mobile.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for that.
Thanks,
I think it's a really great demonstration to show the transition. So
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Now we're going to make our way to app dev. So as you would have just seen there, that was a quick snapshot into our Beyond Corp solution. So it's not a product as such, but what it is actually it's a framework for being able to secure and manage your users as they transition through applications and through different locations. All right, so now we've just made our way back out into the showcase area. As you can see, again, very, very busy, and we're going to make our way to app dev. So in app dev, we're going to see another colleague of mine in the customer engineering team, and his name is Fabio. And Fabio has built a pretty impressive demonstration to demonstrate how you could build a CI/CD pipeline using some of our DevOps tools in the Google Cloud platform. So some of those things that you're going to see with Fabio is how we would use Container Builder. So actually building Docker containers in the cloud. You're going to see things around container registry, how you can actually register, as the name suggests, some of these Docker containers in the cloud. And then finally, a real streamlined view of what a CI/CD pipeline actually looks like. So we are so close to getting to the accelerate application development. All right, here's Fabio. Hi, Fabio. How are you?
I am good. How about you? It's good to see you.
Good. You've got a very busy booth here.
That is
You're a
busy.
wanted man.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, I think people are very interested in application development on Google Cloud. Yes, the devices that we have here also draw a little bit of attention, so people are stopping by to know what we're doing here.
And so Fabio actually made this demo from scratch, and he even built you laser cutted this, didn't you?
Yes,
You
that's
did
right.
all of that.
Yeah, so at Google we have this thing called Makerspace. So Makerspace is basically a workshop room where we have like soldering machines, we have a laser cutter, So what I did was I just got a project on the internet, customized it a little bit, and laser cutted this, built the whole box. So that's an IoT device that I used to start the demo.
Well, enough talking. Let's show us what it's all about.
Absolutely, Nat. So you want to try the demo, you need to choose the color.
Okay.
And what's going to happen here is the demo shows how you can automate the deployment pipeline using Google Cloud. So the change that we can do, changing the color of this web application here. We have two environments, a canary environment for testing and a production environment. What you're going to do is once you choose your favorite color and you press a button, the IoT device will send a message to Google Cloud and it will start the whole pipeline and it will be entirely automated. Okay. You want to try that?
Okay, I'll choose the button. I'm going to go blue. Is that okay?
Blue? That's perfect.
Okay, here we go.
So Nat, I will ask you to look. You will see that that screen will show you the command that's happening. So that screen is actually showing you a Git command. So I'm emulating a developer using a cloud function that was triggered by the IoT device. That cloud function is actually using the Git API, and it's actually simulating a code in the changing the source code. It's doing a Git commit and it's pushing a tag. If you look at the middle screen, this is showing the pipeline of Google Cloud. I'm using a service called Cloud Source Repository. That service is mirroring GitHub. So it's basically getting my repository from Git and it's bringing it to a private repository on Google Cloud. Cloud Build is a tool from Google, it's a service from Google Cloud that allows you to build your application. In this case, it's a Docker image. So Cloud Build was triggered by the tag that arrived on Cloud Source Repository. So right now,
By the cloud function.
Exactly, yes. So Cloud Build is building that image, a Docker image. Once the image is ready, the Docker image will be published into Container Registry. So Container Registry is a tool, another service from Google Cloud. It's a private Docker image repository. When it's published, then we're going to use Spinnaker to actually push that new image, that new version of my application into first Canary and then prod. That's what we're going to do now. So on the third screen, you have Spinnaker running.
Yes.
I'm going to go to Spinnaker. If you want to follow me. So this is Spinnaker, and Spinnaker is a tool that was built by Netflix. It was open sourced, and Google has a long history of open source. So we open source Kubernetes, we open source TensorFlow. When we saw this tool from Netflix, we decided to help. So that's one tool that we suggest developers can use and teams can use any tool that they want to do the CG part, to do the deployment. We're going to use this guy. So what I'm going to do is, sorry, my mouse is turned off. Let me turn it on. What I'm going to do, I am going to choose, just 1 second, I think it's connecting. It's a Bluetooth, yeah, live demo, guys.
It wouldn't be a live demo.
It wouldn't be a live demo if something didn't work.
We had a mouse not work, would it?
Yeah. Can I do
okay.
something?
You can just explain to us what would happen if you like.
Yeah, let me explain you. So with Spinnaker, I can choose this button, the play button, and then it will show me all the tags that I have. So if I wanted to roll back to a previous version of my app, I could do it. But I would choose the tag that you just deployed, which is tag 50. And when I choose that tag, what happens is Spinnaker starts deploying the container, which we just created automatically, into a Kubernetes cluster. When it does that, then the color changes and the application becomes version 50.
Awesome. Well, it's such a shame we didn't get to see the rest of the demo, but this part has been very impressive. So thank you so much, Fabio. You've put such great work into this. I've seen you build this over the for the past few weeks. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and thanks everyone who is joining.
Yeah.
And I hope you enjoy that.
Okay, thanks,
See you.
Fabio.
Thank you. Enjoy your
All
day.
right. We're going to go to our next showcase demonstration now, and that's the transformation showcase. So when we talk about transformation at Google, we're really talking about two things. So we're talking about our G Suite collaboration tools, and we're also talking about devices. So come along with me, and we'll take you to the Transform How Teams Work booth, where we'll be joined and take us through what G Suite looks like. Hello, nice to see you.
Good to see you again. How are you?
Really, really good.
Awesome.
Well, G Suite.
G Suite.
So you're fairly fresh to Google, aren't you?
I am. This is week number 6.
Week number 6.
Absolutely.
Death by Fire, Cloud Summit.
Straight in at the deep end. Yeah.
So given that you're new, tell us a little bit about your journey from moving onto the G Suite tools.
Yeah, no problem. So previously I was in a role which wasn't G Suite, so it was very much traditional applications around collaboration and around documents, etc. G Suite's been a breath of fresh air, really. It's been fantastic. So the real tight integration of the tools, and I guess with Google Drive sort of being the glue that brings everything together as well.
Awesome. So you're about to show us that, aren't you?
I am, yeah. So the example I've got here, I work in Perth, so I'm quite remote.
Yes.
A lot of the team is in Melbourne and Sydney. So actually being able to, first of all, search for something and make sure I'm not reinventing the wheel, and then being able to collaborate with the team to deliver that content is just fantastic. And I'll give you a little demo now. So I was working on a presentation for Summit, so I can just type Summit in here and press enter, and you'll see all the Summit related content I've got. I can see the presentation I was working on. I'm just going to open that up. Now what we're going to do here, obviously the presentation was about Google, so we were looking at including the Google mission statement. Now I've got new features in slides now, in fact in all the applications, so it's in Sheets as well, called Explore. I can click on Explore, and this will allow me, if I'm struggling to get content, and I can actually search not only my content that's in Drive, but I can search the web as well. Right. So for example in here...
So it's making anyone look like a graphic designer here is what you're saying?
Well, from the content perspective, absolutely. But also if I'm searching for information, it's really great to be able to do it from within the application itself. Yeah. So in this instance, I'm searching for Google's mission statement because I want to include it in my slide. I can see it here, and then I can just drag and drop that and push it in.
I guess that's one of the most difficult things is that, you know, there's content everywhere. It can kind of be a Frankenstein of different file systems, and then I can see this has all been done in one place.
I mean, I read a statistic, I think it was yesterday, saying that 20% of people's time is spent trying to find the information they need.
Oh, I think 8 hours, Jen said in the keynote, searching every week. 8 hours.
Exactly right. And now we bring it to be able to do it very quickly. Now, in addition to this, I'm collaborating on this slide. So I've got Ben over here, and I'd like Ben to add some further content around his profile. So I can just ask Ben, as part of the workflow, to put some content here. So if I click on comment over here, I'm going to assign this to Ben.
Right, so you're assigning him an action.
Ben's from New Zealand, so I'm going to assign this to Ben and ask him to fill in the content. So that's assigned to him as a workflow. That appears in his Gmail, so we can see he's been assigned this, also associated with the document. And you can see Ben's actually ahead of the game, so he's updating the profile in real time.
Well done, Ben. Okay, so Ben's actually sitting in New Zealand, so he's not even in the country, and we can see him as he types.
Exactly right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for that demonstration.
No,
that was awesome.
And would you be interested in the other tools?
Absolutely.
So to do that, I can hand you over to Peachy.
Okay.
Peachy, would you like to sort of
Peachy, thanks so much.
Yeah, no problem.
Peachy, awesome. I love the Jamboard and our devices.
Isn't it the best?
It is.
So your question was?
So my question, tell us about some of these devices that we have here.
Perfect. So a lot of the times we've got this Google Meeting Room solutions as a whole. That includes the Hangouts Meets hardware. So a lot of the people don't know that your Hangouts users and users of G Suite, you get access to the software. But that extends then also to the meeting room and the physical boardroom by having that one-click, very simple connect to a meeting room experience through the hardware.
Right, and this is actually hardware that's in every single meeting room, in every single Google office all over the world.
Exactly right. So we've got like about 16,000 meeting rooms across the world, and they're all decked out in this Google Meeting Room hardware. So like we know for a fact that like maybe by the year 2020, we've got like 50% of the people working remotely. So a lot of the leaders, a lot of the executives are trying to figure out how to do the face-to-face, and that is this.
Right.
We've got an extension of that, though, with the Jamboard.
Jamboard.
Yes, because the Jamboard is a new digital collaboration tool that can fit into the meeting room. So going beyond just being able to see the person that's with you or not with you in the room, you can also then connect the actual Jamboard straight into the person into the meeting room and see what's happening in the same time, and also get them to collaborate with them at the same time.
Right, awesome. So that's typically think one of the things is that if you're working on a project and you're bringing people in via Hangouts or whatever it might be, it's hard to actually get them engaged with the content that you're building, but this solves this.
Exactly. So you're in a meeting room, you've got like, you want to get up and do some whiteboarding. People even on the video call will be like just sort of blank out because they can't see what's going on,
But
right?
they can now, right?
They
They
can.
can do that on their phone or their laptop.
Absolutely. So
Or
they
through
can
the
see
app.
what's going on the Hangouts and also then in the actual application here itself.
Well, thank you so much, Peachy.
Thank you very much,
Awesome.
Natalie.
We're going to finish the rest of our devices and we're going to head over to Chrome.
Perfect. Good luck.
Bye-bye. Okay, we are going to our lucky last customer engineer, and his name is Peter Kakowski, and he is a Chrome customer engineer. Hello, Pete.
Hey, how are you?
Good. Lucky last
Yeah.
showcase. Lucky last. We left the best till last. So tell us a little bit about Chrome Enterprise.
Chrome Enterprise, yeah. So it's a browser, it's a device, it's an operating system. It's really the first entry point into the cloud, really.
Awesome. And you've got some demonstrations set up
Yeah,
here, I
we do.
can see.
It's really to cater for anyone who's a cloud worker working in a browser predominantly, and works perfectly well with G Suite. As we can see, whether it's Drive or your emails or working on various other cloud-based applications, perfect tool for it. But if you come this way, sorry guys.
Oh, hello again.
Hi guys, do you mind if we just pop through? Just a quick demo to the camera if you don't mind. Thanks folks. But also if you're maybe not quite on your G Suite journey yet and you're using Microsoft, or you need to use Office, or you need to do stuff offline, we can cater for those scenarios as well.
Great. Okay.
So in our demo, Office 365 running, Salesforce, and all the other online tools, as well as doing things offline using the Android suite of applications.
Amazing. I guess that really debugs a myth that you can't use a Chromebook
Exactly.
unless you use G Suite. So
Spot on,
you've proven that's not true.
And then we've got some other use cases and scenarios that a lot of government and banks have been using in the public space, or whether they operate branches or self-service centers, being able to give an endpoint to all their users, all their external stakeholders, to just interact with them in a digital sense. And when they've finished, the user walks away or sign out, the device automatically cleanses itself. So not only the security is built in, the updates are automatically managed, but they can have the level of comfort that their information is kept nice and safe as well.
Amazing. So you mentioned banking here and government and a lot of large enterprises. I guess also VDI is part of that solution.
Absolutely. So if you do have to run some traditional or Windows applications, or you choose to put all your applications and data into a centralized store, we have a lot of partnerships with the likes of Citrix, who have a stand there, or a variety of other VDI vendors to cater for that scenario as well.
Thanks so much, Pete. We really appreciate this.
Thanks everyone.
Nice way to finish off our lucky last demo.
Exciting. Thank you.
So that's okay. So look, thank you so much for joining us here on the live stream today. My name is Natalie Puco. I'm a Google Cloud Customer Engineer based here in Sydney, and I've been your host for today. If you'd like to rewatch any of the content, including the live stream today, you'll be able to rewatch on demand in the same link that you've viewed us on today. We really enjoyed having you here. Be sure to follow us on our social channels at #Google Cloud Summit, and also our Twitter feed that's unique just to Sydney, so Google Cloud _ANZ. So thank you so much for joining us here today, and we look forward to seeing you again next year.